morning, everyone. It is so good to see you all here. So good to see you all here. Well, we've been going through the 12 powers. Okay, we've been going through the 12 powers of man. They were alluded to by Jesus. He talked about them. Though he didn't say, yo, I got 12 powers, he alluded to them. Charles Fillmore actually wrote about the 12 powers. And so the 12 powers are the inner gifts we came into this life with. They are available in our divine DNA. We always have access to them. Living life is about using them, learning how to use them. As we use our 12 powers, we learn to better work within our Christ consciousness, the brightest version of ourself. Okay, that's our Christ consciousness, our centered self, the part of us that chooses for the benefit of all, right? To create the greatest good. Now, the more that we work with the 12 powers, the more resilience we have, and the more we become a soul well lit, capable of bringing more good into this experience for everyone, not just ourselves. It's not about that. It's not about spiritual empowerment so we can feel good about ourselves. It's about spiritual empowerment so that we are raising the whole, right? We participate in that wave, the wave that raises all the boats. Okay, that's what we're here for. So we've already talked about faith, strength, love, and wisdom. And I've been telling you the Harry Potter character that goes with each of those. So faith is our foundational quality. Faith is what teaches us to trust, have faith in what it is that works through us, for us, as us, that power and presence that put us on this planet to begin with. Because as we have faith in that, we get more understanding about what we are really capable of doing in this world. Faith, we had Ron Weasley in the Harry Potter stories represents faith. Then we have strength. Strength is our ability to endure and stay on course, even in hard conditions, even in these difficulties of life, because we have faith in the solutions that get us through to the other side. You know how we have to either change things or we have to accept things? Well, our faith will help us change or accept and be able to rise above. It's strength that helps us deal with it until we get there. Strength is represented by Neville Longbottom. And then we have love, big love. This is how Christ loved. Love, big love, is about seeing the presence of God in all things, how God's everywhere present. Everything that's ever been, everything that's yet to be, God is everywhere. When we see God as everywhere present, well, solutions then can come from anywhere because solutions come from God and God is everywhere. This increases the incidences of attraction and unification in our life, which is when things come together for our highest good. So we can express the next brightest version of ourselves and be given out the next best thing into this planet. Love is represented by Hagrid. We love Hagrid. Then there's wisdom. Wisdom is blending the knowledge from our head and our hearts, so we make good choices. Wisdom was represented by Albus Dumbledore. Today we go into the fifth of the 12 powers, and it's power. That's what this power is. Power, the power of power. Now in the Bible, when power is spoken of, it's referred to as dominion over or mastery over. From the book of Genesis, where it says, well, God said, let us make humankind in our image according to our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, the cattle, over all the wild animals of the earth, over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth. Well, metaphysically, these animals represent our thoughts and our feelings. So dominion over, this power is about having mastery over our thoughts and our feelings. So we have mastery over our mind, so that we can go from living in a life where we believe the universe is not a friendly place. We master our thoughts and feelings. So we realize we do live in a friendly universe. Now, when we realize we live in a friendly universe, that influences what we do next. changes what we do next. The Apostle Paul said in one of his letters to Timothy, he was describing like what we came here with and what we didn't come here with. And he said, God has not given us the spirit of fear. Fear's not in our divine DNA. Fear's not who we really are. Fear comes from the adversary, that little devil that sits on our shoulder. In Unity, we call this the little me, and it's the part of us that chooses from fear and wants to just keep us right here, like never do anything new, never have any adventures. We just need to stay on the couch so we don't get eaten by a bear. This is our little adversary. We did not come here with the spirit of fear. What God gave us was the spirit of power, love, and good discipline. Not fear, power, love, and good discipline. Discipline is I liken it to strength. It's our ability to endure the course to get where we want to go. Love, as Christ loved, seeing God is everywhere present, that brings things together for our highest good. And then power, or dominion over, mastery over our thoughts, so we can master this process. We master our thoughts, our feelings. This changes our daily rituals. It changes our actions in our daily lives. Now, we always have this power, the ability to master our thoughts and our feelings, but it doesn't always feel like it. Sometimes we might feel disempowered. Now, somebody who is disempowered, they have divine amnesia. They have forgotten who they are and where they came from and what it is that works through them, for them, as them. They've forgotten what sent them here in the first place. Now, this forgetfulness leads to victimization, being victimized, which leads to a misuse of power. When we are in divine forgetfulness, we misuse our power by trying to control other people around us, by using manipulation to control people around us, or bullying, right? This is all stems from divine amnesia. Needing to have power over others because there's no power over our own thoughts and feelings. Charles Fillmore said in Your God-Given Potential, he's talking about power. He says, it is to be exercised, not for the purpose of controlling others, but for the purpose of taking dominion over our own thoughts and feelings in order to come into greater God awareness. The more we practice mastery over our thoughts, over our feelings, the greater our awareness becomes of who we are, where we came from, and what it is that works through us, for us, as us. Now, the center for this power in the body is the throat chakra. Our throat chakra is the center for choice. It is the center for divine self-expression. It is through our throat chakra that we live authentically and truthfully. It's where we are impeccable with our word. But our throat chakra demands that we make a choice. We're either choosing from personal will or we're choosing from divine will. We surrender when we choose from divine will. Now, to surrender personal will to divine will doesn't mean we're giving up everything that we love doing. It doesn't mean we give up a Sunday afternoon on the couch in front of Netflix. But what personal will is this the part of us governed by this little guy here, the little me. Personal will, the voice in our head will sound like me, me, me. It's all about me. I'm the center of the universe, and stuff out there has to make me happy because I must feel good. Above all else, I at least must not feel bad about anything. I should have no discomfort whatsoever. Where divine will is we're coming from our great me, okay, our Christ consciousness. In divine will, we realize that we are each part of something bigger, and we are participating with that is bigger than us. So personal will, we might ask the question, well, what's the world going to do for me? But from divine will, we'd ask, what can I do for this world? How can I serve? How can I participate in the unfolding of more good on this planet? That's divine will. It's surrendering and making choices that move us closer to creating more good on this planet. So the power and the throat chakra, this is all about our choices, all about our choices. We make choices about everything that either move us toward our divine nature or away from our divine nature. I like to liken it to a garden, our metaphorical garden. If you imagined that you wanted to plant a garden, think about that. You want to plant a garden, but would you sit back and think, well, when's somebody going to plant my garden for me and do all that work? I mean, I don't want to plant a garden personally, but at least I had offered to pay somebody to do it, right? I wouldn't sit around and say, when's the world going to go plant my garden for me? We look at the garden and we make a choice. Okay, well, do I have to hire somebody to do it, or am I going to get out there? We make the choice, and then we take care of the garden. We choose the seeds we want to plant. We don't wait to see what randomly pops up in that garden. We choose our seeds, and then we plant those seeds, and then that garden becomes what we planted. Now, all of our life is like a garden. We're planting seeds all the time for the outcomes we would like to have in our life. We're planting seeds for better health, better relationships, making more money, doing more things that we love, finding ways to serve that bring us joy as well as spreading more joy into the world. All of these require our participation, just like a garden does. When we're making choices to master our thoughts and our feelings, we're first taking responsibility for our participation. Now, when we're stuck in our personal will, we may think about what we'd like to create, but we're putting most of our focus on what makes us miserable right now. We put our focus on what we don't have, what is not working. Now, we all have a dream that we believe in, and it's mastering our thoughts and our feelings that lead to choices that lead us toward what we want to create. This is how we tend the garden of our dreams. So we get power over our mind, we get power over our thoughts and our feelings. This changes the choices that we make, changes where our attention is going. We're choosing from faith and from strength and from love and from wisdom. We're purposefully making choices that honor our divine nature. So that's where the center of power is in our body, our throat chakra. It's a very busy chakra. The disciple that represents this power, the power of power, is Philip. There's not a lot written about Philip in the Bible, but his name does mean lover of horses, which is in physical activity. Horses represent power. Horses represent power. Now, the Harry Potter character that I picked out today to represent power, dominion over, mastery over self, Harry Potter. Harry Potter. Because this whole story is about Harry Potter. It is the journey of the hero. It is him. It's about him. It's about us learning to make choices that take us toward our divine nature rather than away from it. And Harry, right away, right from the beginning, he starts understanding that he's going to be making choices that make a big difference in his life. He finds out even before he gets to Hogwarts, School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, that the school is divided into 4 houses, and he's going to be sorted into one of those houses. They're like dorms if you've never read Harry Potter. There's Slytherin, Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw. Harry has heard that there was never a bad wizard that didn't come from Slytherin. So he's already worried about coming from or getting sorted into Slytherin. He's heard about Voldemort, the evil wizard, who came from Slytherin. So Harry arrives at school with all the other first-year students. They're all sorted into one of these 4 houses. When it's Harry's turn, they put the sorting hat on him, and the sorting hat reads his mind and can tell what kind of character he has. The sorting hat knows that Harry is smart, and it says to him, "You could be great, It's all there in your head, and Slytherin will help you on the way to greatness." But Harry says, not Slytherin, not Slytherin, Gryffindor, Gryffindor. So there he makes a choice. There's his first big life-changing choice. He gets put in Gryffindor. But see, all through this story, Harry is concerned about being like Voldemort, okay, the evil villain in our story. Harry knows right away there's some kind of a connection between them. He's not sure about the connection. We find out as we go through the series. But right there in book 1, Harry discovers his wand is connected to Voldemort's wand because they both have a phoenix feather from the same phoenix. They were also both orphans. They were also both abused by their guardians. They both came to Hogwarts, seeing that Hogwarts would be a great place to be and would change their life. They were both gifted wizards, and they both could perform very complex spells from a very young age. But Harry chose differently. Right from the beginning, Harry, most of the time, surrendered his will, personal will, to divine will. He chose to serve instead of being served. This is how he and Voldemort were different. Voldemort wanted power over other people. Harry wanted to participate and contribute with other people. So he came to Hogwarts. He could have joined Slytherin and become a bully, but he didn't. In the very first book, he already has to make a choice that's a really, really hard choice, but it's the right choice. It's when he figures out Voldemort is after the Sorcerer's Stone. He tells the teacher, who does not believe him. So now Harry knows it's on him. He's got to get the stone, but he also knows because the teacher doesn't believe him, if he gets caught, he will get expelled from Hogwarts. It's just, that's the last thing he wants. He loves it at Hogwarts. But he makes that choice. He knows he has to do the right thing to protect everybody. So there, he's already made a choice that was a sacrifice, that could have been a big sacrifice. He finds out later on, too, as we go through the stories, that he's going to eventually have to make a huge sacrifice because that was the only way to triumph over Voldemort. Now, he could have run away, but he didn't. He kept mostly choosing right. Now, that's kind of what we do. Most of the time, we probably choose, good. We make a good choice. We make a hard choice that's the right choice. We don't always do that. Harry didn't always do that either. Sometimes he made poor choices. But overall, he chose to be of service. Dumbledore said to him, "It's our choices, Harry, that show us who we truly are far more than our abilities." Our abilities can be used wisely or unwisely. That's up to us. So Harry chose right over easy. And you get to the 7th book and you see that Harry starts to utilize all 12 powers together, where Voldemort doesn't. Voldemort is still stuck on wanting power over others. So Voldemort stays stuck in that. He stays stuck in the shadow. Now back to this verse from Paul in his letter to Timothy, where he said that God did not give us the gift of fear, the spirit of fear, but of power and love and good discipline. He prefaces that with, "I remind you to stir up the gift of God, which is in you by the laying on of my hands. For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and love and good discipline." Paul is reminding Timothy what it is that's working through him, for him, as him. Now, the laying on his hand doesn't mean that Paul laid his hand on Timothy and gave Timothy all these gifts. The laying on his hand was simply him reminding Timothy who he was, where he comes from, and what it is that works through him, for him, as him. That is how we stir up the gift of God within us. We remind ourselves God is everywhere present. God is all things, everything that's ever been, everything that's yet to be. And that means me. That means you. That's how we stir up those gifts of God. That's how we are able to utilize, by remembering God as all things, and that means us too. That's how we are able to utilize love and wisdom and the other innate gifts that we came here with. These gifts, they all work together. Power without love and wisdom becomes about control. It becomes about manipulation. Voldemort was extremely powerful, but he did not use wisdom. He continually judged conditions. He was walking by sight, not by faith. He was looking out here at the conditions that were limiting him. That's what he was focused on. He had no love or no faith in his followers, right? He didn't love his followers. He had no faith in his followers. He was waiting for them to betray him. Voldemort had as much mercy for his own followers as he did for his enemies. He didn't care about them. So he got caught up in conditions. He was focused on limitation, and he had no faith in anything. He had to manipulate and have power over to get something moving for him. This left him power hungry and hollow, and that's why he had to continually have power over other people, because he could not get filled up. He could not get filled up. Now, in the end, Harry had tremendous faith in his friends. And you see how his love for his friends and faith in his friends grows through the entire series. He loved his friends. He trusted them. He also had the wisdom to listen to them, because he was wise enough to know that very frequently they knew more than he did. So he trusted them. And he surrendered eventually there at the end. He surrendered to what had to happen. And this is how he triumphed over Voldemort. This is how we triumph in our own lives. We gain mastery over our thoughts and our feelings. This is how we are empowered. We surrender to divine will. This mastering of our thoughts and our feelings leads to wiser choices. We're making choices from love, big cosmic love, which is when we have awareness of God being everywhere present, which means solutions are everywhere present, which means when we choose from love, we're activating the greatest harmonizing power in the universe, right? That power that unifies and attracts the things right here, where we are, right when we need them, is at work in our lives. And that's what leads to the greater good in our lives. And that's what leads to more of our divine self-expression. Utilizing these gifts influences what we do next. And that is how we are creating heaven on earth. So until next time, remember, you are the activity of spirit in a body. You are the heart and the hands of spirit in this world. You are a soul designed to do all of this stuff. You're designed for growth and goodness in everything you do. You are blessed. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you for being here.